Hello, my name is Ilona and I want to talk about duality, extremes and finding balance in this series about shadow work. And I'm sure you probably noticed that I'm wearing the same thing as I did in my video of Wednesday. That's because it's still Wednesday and I'm going to put this video up tomorrow, Thursday. Unfortunately, it's a very busy day for me tomorrow and I'm not going to be able to make a video, and I found some time now to make a video and I was like, I do want to talk about this. It was an insight that I actually received, sort of. It suddenly popped in my head when I mentioned Monday in my video about whiteheads, about seeing them as balanced more than just light side against the dark side. And for some reason, I suddenly realized maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's the mess we're in. So, of course, see if it resonates with you. That's something I just want to share. And this is an experiment. That's how I view life and the free will zone, and that everything is possible. So when God and Source, how you want to look at it, created this, everything was possible. So we could pick any extreme that we wanted. And I think that's what happened. So I think people started choosing things without fully understanding what was going on. So they choose maybe more the light side or more the dark side, and they kind of got caught up in that. Because if you choose, one thing, you have to face the consequences, and I believe that life itself wants to be in balance again. So if you pick the dark side, for instance, or maybe a lighter side, then the next lifetime might be the opposites to create that balance, because we didn't understand that mechanism. And of course, we've been in a reincarnation trap and our memories have been wiped. So we didn't fully understand what was going on. So then you get stuck in all these situations without realizing what's truly going on. And then you can get caught up in the dark energies, but you can also caught up in the lighter energies. I'm not sure if you've met people that don't want to hear anything about negativity. They forgive everyone, doesn't matter what happens. They never get angry because that's not spiritual. And in a way, they're kind of just floating above their body. It's almost like they just want to be on some cloud and be left alone, which seems like a very spiritual life, but you're not really inside your body. So it's very possible for a next lifetime that they're going to be thrown in a very earth-like life. So they have to, come to terms with having a body, for instance. This is just an example. And maybe they didn't realize it then. So you get this mixture of all kinds of misconceptions and convictions that, life is tough and having a body is awful. I want to go, you maybe this person will feel like they want to go back to that lighter life. So you get all these things happening because we go to all these extremes by making decisions, and we have to face the consequences of that. That's something very important. Nobody can outrun the consequences. And I think that's what happened with the dark energies. They got stuck in those dark energies, and every time they just slipped away and became heavier and darker, and they didn't realize that really they were the source of that, and it was necessary to get them back into balance. So they really got stuck in extreme, and ultimately they got separated, that's how I see it, from their soul, although I do believe they still have a soul, but they're not connected to it anymore. They've completely separated themselves off that. And I think ultimately it's still possible for them to regain balance again, but it will be a long procedure to get back again. Also on the other side, just because it's called light, and someone is only busy with the light side, it doesn't mean that that's balanced. So I think that this entire experiment, and that's why it got so rough and it got so extreme, because we kept being pushed in those extremes without understanding it's to balance ourselves, and we just got caught up in all these things, and it just separated us more and more from who we truly are. And of course, like The dark energies obviously started programming us and taking over. Of course, we gave away our power. It all has to do with making these decisions, and that there is a possibility of having all these very extreme decisions, and not understanding that if you choose a very extreme side, then you have to balance that again. That's why they probably talk about when you send out something that you're going to get a reaction. And it's sometimes an opposite reaction, because to balance things, I think life itself wants to be balanced. And I think we are now at a position that we want to regain balance again in our life. That the great awakening is balancing the dark sides and the light sides in ourselves. That's why I think shadow work is so important to do. It's about dealing with the darker side in ourselves. And I think that if people are more negative, that maybe it's time to look at the light side of your life. Maybe what are you grateful for? See, you maybe had food today or nice clothes. Just see what feels good to you. Or maybe a good relationship with your partner or with your family. Or maybe you have a pet you really, really love. It's very important that we start balancing this, that we start opening ourselves for all these things. So I think that's very interesting. So to me, I think what happened is people start experimenting, or souls start experimenting, and we got caught up. And because of also wiping our memories, we didn't even realize what happened before. So we're starting in a life with all these past baggages that want to be balanced. And we have no idea what's going on and why things are happening, or why we are attracting certain people or certain situations. So we can, it's very possible, react the same way as we've done before, and just continuing this process. And especially with dark energies, you can really get caught up in that. Of course, in light energies as well, you can really get caught up in both of them. And I think it's now the time, the yin and yang, to bring it together. If you're balanced and you make a decision and you do things, then you don't really, well, what you see and what will be reflected back to you will be balanced as well. It's especially if it's not balanced. So if you're not balanced and you bring something out, you will have something reflected to you that is disbalanced, like it's not in balance, because you're not in balance. And usually you will get like a counter reaction. But if you truly are in balance, you're not going to get that. You will see that things will change for good for you, because you are in balance, so everything around you will be in balance. And that's really what we're seeing now. We're seeing the collapse of everything that is not balanced, and we are now in this great awakening to balance ourselves. So important. Do your shadow work with yourself, work with your energy. But also, if you're more on the negative side, look at the brighter side as well. Don't forget your light side as well. It's very important that we're open up to both sides. That's why I always recommend to do things you really love doing, because it's also important to cherish that. And the more you do that, and the more you work through darker sides, pain, anger, anxiety, frustration, the more balanced you will become, and the more you'll be able to create, because you'll be sending that out. And what I find very interesting is that you can be scared of the dark side. There are people that really don't want to look at the negative side. They just want to see the positive. They only want to hear positive things. Of course, it's not going to work. And of course, there are people very negative that really, if you tell them something positive, they'll tear it down, or they'll try to make you as miserable as them. There are all kinds of people in between. You have all these phases where people are in. So it has to do with perspective. But if you start working with what you have inside yourself, you embrace that, you will become so balanced, and then you will see it in the world around you. And I also want to mention a poem, I believe from Marianne Williamson. I think Nelson Mandela used it. That we are actually more afraid of the light probably than the dark in ourselves. So we really work through your shadow side and then see what your light side is about and combine that. Shine. You can shine if you're balanced. And if you're balanced, you'll be able to create the world you really want to see. Because if you're balanced, other people that are balanced will be attracted to you. You won't attract disbalanced, how do you say this, unbalanced people anymore, because they don't fit with your energy anymore. And you will create a balanced life. And that's what we're seeing right now. We see the dismantling of all this unbalanced energies, and the dark energies ultimately are unbalanced. That's why it's so important to balance yourself and to really stand strong and shine your light. So I want to leave it at this, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.